The old chaos hungers still.
Michael Huber, here we are.
Ben Moore.
End of a trilogy.
Yes.
Dark Souls 2, sailing off into the sun with Crown of the Ivory King.
Gloriously.
Gloriously.
Sailing off.
Yeah, we both liked it quite a bit, I
Yeah.
would say. I think that's
Yeah.
fair to say. What did you like most about this final installment?
So before I go into that, I do want to say one quick thing about the whole trilogy.
Do it.
It felt like that they could have just released those as a standalone game, like episodically. You know, the whole thing together was just this awesome journey.
Absolutely.
And I really hope they go forward with that on Bloodborne.
Yeah.
But Ivory King, it was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, I just real quick touching on
Mm-hmm.
the whole series. I was really worried and skeptical because
Yeah.
I loved Artorias of the Abyss so much, and I was like, oh no, they're splitting it up to get more money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna feel, each episode is gonna feel like meager and not
Yeah.
substantial. No, I think the quality was consistent.
They were so
it got,
different.
It got better for
Yeah.
me as the series went on.
Me too.
But
And
Ivory
they all
King,
had their own flavor. I felt the
They
first
really
one
did.
first one was about like the environmental puzzles. Second one just had these crazy like enemy puzzles. You had to, or was that the first one?
so the second one kind of had like
You had
some
to
weird
you had to
enemies.
stab the guys with
Right.
the yeah.
Yep.
And the third one, the bosses.
Yeah, man, the bosses in the third one I think are undoubtedly the best, and sort of the pinnacle of that is fighting the Ivory King
Oh my gosh.
himself.
Remember last time I was like, they need to do something crazy with the bosses, like large scale, massive battle. They kind of did that.
They absolutely did it.
For those who haven't played the fight, spoiler territory, you do go around, you can rescue these optional NPC characters that will later help you in the fight. So I rescued them. I said, hell, I got these 4 dudes. I'm gonna summon 2 more guys. Summon 2. There were 7 of us that go down into the chaos, like center of the world, Mordor volcano. It was just an all-out war zone. And then they were like sealing the gates. The guy comes out like he's Sauron from Lord of the Rings. Just a hell of a finale. When I finished the fight, I just stood there staring at it for 10 minutes. And that brought me into one last thing, was that it was the end of it all. And I was thinking about how much I love the world of Dark Souls.
Absolutely.
And the lore and the mystery and just the setting and the characters and all of that. It was just an awesome finale.
It's funny you say that because the very last thing I say in my review is like Dark Souls 2, the DLC has been exhausting. I think
Yeah.
it's thrown some of the
I'm
stiffest
ready to be
challenge
done.
at us as yet. But when I got to the end, I was sad. I totally agree with you. I love the world that they built so much
Yeah.
and expanded upon in the DLC.
It was
that
bittersweet.
It was tough
Yeah.
leaving. But I think part of the reason that fight is so spectacular is what they do with it visually and how they present it to you. They make it more of a spectacle, I think, than any of the other fights in the DLC, because you go and you go into this throne room,
Yeah.
and it looks incredible. Something bad has happened here,
Yeah.
and you get this disembodied voice talking to you, telling you
Yeah.
like what's happened to this king, how he's been tormented. Very a common theme in Dark Souls. And then you go into this door and you drop down this hole, and
Yeah.
you're like, what is going on?
What
it
is
seems like
going
a
on?
limitless drop.
Yeah.
You hit the bottom. It looks like you're in hell. Everything is molten
It is hell.
fire.
Yeah.
And then this king comes out of
Sauron.
this like portal
Seriously,
thing.
Sauron.
And all of a sudden, well, I guess first you fight the knights.
Yeah.
And then the king comes out. So
Huge brawl,
there's that sort
too.
of build up to
Yeah.
it. And then, when you're in the thick of the fight, it's the king, and the knights just keep on coming.
Yeah.
And there's never been a battle that's had a scale like this in
Yeah.
Dark Souls. And I feel like, you can kind of peg Dark Souls boss fights in like a few different categories. You have like the beasts, you have like the dude with the sword, you have the sort of the puzzle bosses, but nothing has
Wholly
felt like
unique.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So then one last area that I did, so I did all that on the first night, and then you were like, you gotta do the challenge.
I was so mad at you because I wanted you to do this challenge
it.
area, and you come in this morning, and I'm like, tell me what you thought, and you're like, no, I'm saving it.
Yeah.
So here we
So
go.
I did it. So really hard to find this thing. You got to go back once the ice has been melted, light the torches, go into this weird cave and find a key. Then you go into this one area and you go in a cave and you go like Sonic the Hedgehog 3 style, like into the coffin, slide down a mountain.
What a great comparison.
So then you wake up and it's a full whiteout. I've never been so disoriented in Dark Souls. I remember part 1, the Sunken King, there was a lot of darkness and tight corridors, and this was huge open space, blizzard, snowstorm. You would get 5 seconds of visibility for every 45 seconds that went by. It was really tense, and I jumped out of my seat when I was going on the little journey. I'm trying to figure out where to go. I hear something in the distance. The next thing I know, this icy reindeer slams into me.
Right.
I screamed when I was playing.
I think that adds so much to it is how weird the horse enemy is, because you don't know what it is, and it takes you a while to be like, wait, this thing is lightning and a horse and then black and what?
It's like Santa, dude. It was like a reindeer. It flew up in the air and was like shooting down.
What I love about the optional areas so much is it's bewildering. Like I always have this fear whenever I go into a room in Dark Souls because I don't know what to expect, but this is bewildering.
Yeah.
You have no idea
No clue.
where you're going,
Yeah.
and you just pray that you're gonna get to the right spot.
And the history of the Souls games too, every 5 steps I took, I expected to fall just into an abyss to my death.
Oh yeah.
Always. So many deaths like that. And then you're hesitant of where to go. So disorienting. The only letdown, of course, was the boss of that area were just 2 of the first boss of the DLC. It's like this giant tiger thing. You fight 2 of them.
And it's tough, but it's tough in such a predictable and boring way.
Yeah.
You know?
It's tough to a point where I don't even care about overcoming it. It's like whatever.
And I think the other disappointment for me is I love the sort of build up to that boss fight being in that snowstorm.
Yeah, getting there is the fun part.
I think it could have gone on a little bit longer.
It's a little short.
It's a little short, and because it's so short, once you kind of know, it's pretty easy to just run to the end. But that's only because I loved it so much. It reminded me of Tomb of the Giants in Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything in the series has been reminiscent of that except for this. And one other thing is I really appreciate it's heartwarming to me because I feel like the DLCs kind of had some commonalities between them. You go through a lot of narrow spaces. There are a lot of tunnels. There are a lot of like inside castles going along pathways. And this just felt like, okay, how can we be different? And they went full tilt in the other direction.
That's why I was always so obsessed with Darkroot Basin. Everyone always makes fun of me for that.
It's a great area.
But that was the first time in Dark Souls you get to that area and it's just wide open and there's so many ways to go. I know there's not really that many ways to go, but it felt like that at the time. So that's why I really loved this part.
Yeah.
But to wrap it up. Favorite boss in the entirety of Dark Souls 2 and the DLCs. Whole thing, whole package.
That's your question?
Right down here, what is your favorite boss?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm surprised because I didn't expect to beat the Ivory King on my first try, but it's still the Ivory King. That whole fight, my mouth is just like, I can't believe this is happening. This is so cool.
Yeah.
And while I liked the Fume Knight and I really liked a lot of other bosses, no boss blew me away like that. How about you?
To not be boring, I won't say that. I will say Sir Alone.
Sir Alone is
Just
incredible.
a classic Dark Souls duel, mano a mano, epic setting, epic music. Just truly feels like you're there in a duel to the death,
such
one-on-one.
a Huber Hogger fight.
Oh, I love it.
He's swordsman. He's a swordsman.
He's
you know?
elegant though.
Yeah,
He's thoughtful.
Right. Right, but he's a warrior.
Yeah, he is.
Through and through.
He's awesome.
Well, we're super enthusiastic about it. Hopefully you can check it out and let us know what you think.
Dark Souls
But
2 DLC, all of them worth it. Check them all out.
Michael Huber, this was an absolute pleasure.
There's no more Dark Souls, everyone.
No
It's
more Dark
gone,
Souls.
but luckily, just a few months away.
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. We will be back then, I'm sure.
Yes.
With this level of hype.
Excellent. Thanks, Huber.